Good afternoon, teacher. My name is Cristina Tamayo, and I'm going to present a little feedback about unit number 1. So I would like to start by defining what is a lesson plan. A lesson plan is the teacher's roadmap of what students need to learn and how it will be done effectively during the learning process, during the class time. And we as future teachers can design appropriate activities in order to achieve the learning outcome. So let's start. Here we must take into account that we need to follow some steps before planning. First of all, we have language acquisition. Here, students are going to acquire the language similar that we acquire our first language as a child. I mean that we acquire our first language by drills, by repeating things, by doing something. The teacher's instructions need to focus on meaning rather than form and also utterance. And communication is a product of meaningful interaction. Then we have some theories. First of them is silent period. Here, students are not going to talk, but it doesn't mean that they are not going to understand. And how to check understanding? Well, we can do some, for example, drawing activities or writing activities in order to check that our students are understanding what we are saying and what we are teaching. Second one is input hypothesis. Here, the students that have a higher level are going to help others. Third of them is the interaction hypothesis. Students learn through mistakes and through corrections. And the fourth is CLE. Students are going to learn the language through the content that is planned. After that, we have BICS and CALPS, basic interpersonal communication skills for BICS. Here, students are going to learn how to communicate effectively by using cognition and correct structures. And CALPS, cognitive academic language proficiency skills. Here, students are going to learn vocabulary in order to communicate their ideas and also learn through vocabulary. And the biggest challenge that is how to teach our students grammar. Here we summarize some ideas that how can we do it. For example, by increasing a student's talk time, that is so important that students talk. By modeling, also by creating a meaningful interaction in the class, for example, in group activities, in conversations, debates, and also in a welcome environment that is so important too. In an inductive way, I mean that the students can discover by themselves the grammatical structure, not teach, for example, subject, verb plus complement. No, try to do in an inductive way that they can discover what is subject, what is verb, what is complement. Then, affective filter. Here we must to take into account that negative and positive emotions influence the language and how students are going to learn the language, because negative emotions function as a filter between the speaker and the listener, and that reduces the input and understanding. Also, internal feelings or emotions create a filter that facilitate or impede learning. So for that reason, we need to create a welcome environment for our students. And finally, the vocabulary that our students need to learn. First, we have the content obligatory, then we have content compatible, then collocations, finally, vocabulary based on curriculum. The content obligatory is essential to mastering the language. Then the content compatible is a vocabulary that is found within the lesson, and it is useful vocabulary that can be put into practice in our daily life. Collocations like chunks, idioms, phrases, utterances, and based on the curriculum, what vocabulary our students are going to learn based on our curriculum that is based on society needs and students' interest. And our lesson plan needs to contain some basically resources that are the following. A, the teacher, B, the ready-made resources, and C, teacher-produced resources. An effectively lesson plan needs to contain minimum 5 elements that are aim, content, method, resources, and assessment. And now my partner is going to present the elements of a perfect plan.
A perfect plan, it contains 20 elements. The first, aims that the teacher are going to follow until to reach the goals. The objectives that are going to apply from the end of the process of learning until the students develop the skills. Assessment of data. Assessment of data is the students provide to the teacher with grades, with a good performance, and scoping content. That will be the content that the teacher is going to teach and also vocabulary. Pedagogical methods. The teacher are going to apply it into the classroom like strategy, methods, methodology, and another kind of tools. And teacher expectations. That the teacher are going to manage the new content from the student, that they are going to have a good performance. Learning activities that the teacher already teach the content, so are going to develop different kinds of activities in order to develop the thinking skills, the writing activities, and also the speaking performance. 8, homeworks that the teacher are going to send to the students, they can develop. 9, differentiation of learning, maybe when the teacher are going to teach a new content, but the teacher needs to provide the previous content successfully reached from the students. 10, progression in learning. And the progression in learning will be when the teacher is going to follow all the steps in order to have a successful performance. So the next 11th will be other curriculum needs. In here we have also authentic materials like videos, pictures, images, books, and so on. 11th will be the time in this case can be 1 hour, 2 hours per week. And 13, the space will be when the teacher have a good environment into the classroom. The resource, first the teacher produce resource like flashcards, pictures, marker, or internet. The language in this case will be a foreign language is English, and ancillary stuff when the teachers need to use another resource like worksheets, books, posters, maps, or magazines. And there is the teacher need to prepare another kind of materials in order to catch the attention of the students. So the assessment will be like participate in class or send the homeworks, and in 19 the evaluation methods will be in individually or maybe when the students are working in groups, and the final step will be reviewing procedure. So in this step, the teacher provide the students with a different image of another materials that they need to provide the content already learned and have a successfully activity to it. Thank you.
And now we are going to explain the lesson plan. So first of all, the agenda. In this agenda, we're going to apply a video activity, some colors vocabulary, an activity with that are going to help the students learning, present simple grammar, and finally a little homework. So let's start with the lesson plan.
Okay, and now the lesson plan that we choose are the 5A that consists of engage, explore, elaborate, and evaluate. These are based on constructivism. The level of this lesson plan is for A1. It was designed for 34 students between 7 to 10 years. The time is 1 hour. Okay, let's start. The aim for this lesson is to achieve that the students acquire knowledge and critical thinking about how to recognize the colors. The objectives. Students will be able to identify 10 to 10 colors through a video. Students will be able to classify 10 to 10 colors through pictures. Students will be able to formulate 6 to 6 questions in present simple through flashcards. Students will be able to elaborate 6 to 6 questions in present simple through a sheet of paper. And students will be able to express the different colors through a picture. Assignment data. The teacher must prepare a smart pretest for the students to verify if the students have any concept or idea about the topic that is going to be taught. The same test will be applied at the end of the class to verify that the students have reached the knowledge and making them learning experience satisfying.
Okay, here we have the progression learning. In this part, the students will be able to classify the colors according to the pictures of objects and classify them in a correct order. Then students will change the activity by asking questions in present simple through flashcard to reform the learning that the students was looking at in the class.
Scope and content. We are going to use primary colors. secondary colors, present simple, double question, and affirmative sentences. Pedagogical methods. The approach that will be implemented in this class will be student-centered, where the teacher will be a guide and the student will act as a co-creator of their own learning, and the principle of learning by doing will be applied. Also, we must consider that methods for effective learning, in this case, will be used the following communicative method and think per share, in which communication is essential for learning the new language.
Is the teacher's expectations. The teacher expects for his or her students a good manage of the new vocabulary. It means the colors, as well as the correct use of the present simple in order to recognize the different colors. Also, the teacher helps to develop the critical thinking in his or her students through the different activities that they are going to apply in this lesson plan. The assessment. The teacher can use different ways to make sure that the students are going to acquire the language. For example, students will be assessment individually. It means with participation in the classroom. In some cases, also the assessment, it could be a homework, and if you want the teacher one, they can use evaluations, but it could be at the end of the lesson or in the next day.
Differentiation of learning. Here we have the individual activities and also the teacher have to make sure that all the groups activity have to participate all the students. If one students have problems with the learning, the teacher have to put with other students again, understanding a better way the topic to help the other students and develop their thinking skills. And finally, the teacher makes sure that the students have all the material.
Okay, other curriculum needs. In this case, the teacher can use different materials in order to improve the knowledge of his or her students. For example, they can use authentic materials such as videos, songs, poems, etc. Pictures about colors, some books related to the subject that they are going to teach, and finally, classroom activities. Space. The space is related to the space that the learners are going to learn. For example, in this case, is the classroom. So for that reason, the teacher must manage the classroom well. They can use students' peer activity. Also, they can use the teacher work with the whole class. The students can work also in groups, or the students can work in groups with other groups. And the resources are different. For example, the principal resource is the teacher. We have also the teacher produced resources, because in some cases, teacher makes their own resources. Some flashcards about colors, pictures about objects, markers, internet connection, and the blackboard.
Language. We are going to use English language because this lesson plan is focused on teach this language through different activities.
Okay, ancillary stuff. Here we have other resources such as worksheets, book, posters, maps, handouts, magazines can be used like a supplementary material for a better understanding of the content. This such as way that the students reforms the learning, and it will be like a guide for the students. And in the other hand, we have the risk. In this part, the teacher have to prepare in case that maybe the students don't have the material, or could be happening other thing. And in this part, the teacher have to prepare some material like flashcards with some colors, and the students will be able to say that colors in a verbally way to develop their thinking skills and reforms the language. This is like as a plan B. And if the teacher don't have the flashcards, have to prepare a plan C. And in this part, the teacher will draw objects or animals in the board, and the students will have to guess what color that have that object or animal will be, and then they have to make some brainstorm through a discussion activity.
Okay, evaluation methods. The teacher can use different evaluation methods in order to make sure that the students acquire the subject or acquire the learning. For example, in this case, we have the participation in the classroom. It means that at the end of the lesson, referring the students will be evaluated by the teacher through that brief description about the picture provided by the teacher. It means that the evaluation in this case is participation. And finally, we had a little homework. It's very important to have homeworks in the classroom, because with that, the students can improve their knowledge. And the teacher will be sending some homework to his or her students of the topic related to reinforce the knowledge.
Progression in learning. For first, the students learning by preparing the colors, the teacher have to prepare a video. And in addition, to improve their learning through different activities that help to improve the understanding and develop their thinking skills and communication skills to the students.
Okay, learning activities. In these learning activities, we have 5 activities. The first is the engage, and this consists of all the students have to participate, and with this activity, with teachers, try to wake up tries to wake up the understanding of the students and the motivation to participate in the classroom. For this activity, we have 10 minutes, and the activity consists that the teacher show the video to the whole class related to the topic of the colors. Students' work are asked to identify 10 principal colors, and the teacher must monitor that the whole class is participating in the activity. The student activities is that the students have to write 10 colors in his or her notebook, and they have to complete the work individually. The second activity is to explore. For this activity, we have 20 minutes because it's like a race activity. So the teacher presents the material. It means the images of different objects with different colors, such as blue, purple, or yellow, to the whole class. After the teacher should divide the blackboard into 2 pairs. In the one pair, they should place the different images and randomly, and in the other part of the blackboard, they should write the names of the colors. The teacher must explain the activity to the class that consists of that the students should choose any picture and have to recognize the color, and after they must paste the picture on the other part of the word according to the color it has. The teacher must monitor that the whole class is participating in the activity, and the students' activities. The students have to recognize the color of the object. Second, they have to choose one leader per column, and that leader must have to recognize the colors and the names of the color. And finally, the winner is the leader who do the activity in the less time possible. Third, we have the explain activity. So in this, we have 10 minutes for this activity. It's a student pair activity. This activity consists that the teacher must explain to the whole class how to use simple present with W questions for answering something related to the colors. And for this, it's very important that the teacher explains with an example how to use the correct structure of W questions in present simple. The teacher must give to each pair 6 questions in present simple, and each pair must order the question after. One student have to answer, and then the students change the roles. The teacher must divide the classroom into pairs because, as I said before, it's an pair activity, and the teacher must monitor always the classroom. Each student in the group must order the question, and then they have to answer, and the student must participate in the activity. After, we have the elaborate. This also is a student pair activity. We have 10 minutes for this activity. This activity consists of that the teacher must give one example of how to create a W question in present simple for using color. For example, the teacher writes on the word, what is your favorite color? So they have to explain what is the correct structure of the simple present with the W question. And they have to answer, my favorite color is blue. So also they have to explain how to answer with W questions in present simple. The teacher must monitor the classroom, and in some students have a question, the teacher can clarify any doubt. The activity for the students is to write W questions using present simple, answer the questions, and remember the names of the colors that they learn in the first activity. And finally, we have the evaluate. This activity, the teacher works with the whole class. They have 10 minutes, and this activity consists of that the teacher must tell students to return to their seats after the teacher presents a picture of the whole class, as you can see in the screen. The teacher must explain the activity to their students that consists of the colors that the teacher has. For that, the teacher has to select some students in the classroom in order to make sure that they acquire the knowledge. So the activity for the students is to share his or her ideas in the classroom. And finally, students must recognize the different colors. And if the student make a mistake, don't worry, because the teacher must correct that mistake, because as you know, we throw mistakes that the students learn more.
Review procedure. With the application of the 5A, the student will be able to acquire learning in addition to the fact that through the application of different activities, the teacher ensures that all the students learn. The teacher must consider time management in addition to trying to get all the students to participate in class. It should also be taken into consideration that not all the students learn in the same way. So for that reason, it is feasible to find activities that are focused on all types of learning.
Okay, and finally, here we have the homework. The teacher provides to their students different pictures, and the students have to paint the picture according to the color. For example, if the picture is a banana that is a fruit, the students must to paint like yellow because that's the color of that fruit. And the students then of that activity have to prepare 4 questions in present simple about colors. And this is for develop and reference the learners, the knowledge that they was looking in the class and developing their ability to recognize and classify. Thank you, teacher. That's all.